Hello again, welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is BGFH, and I'm back for another Xbox One game, and believe it or not, this time it is actually an Xbox One game. It is not a backwards compatible game, 360 game, or a component of the Rare Replay disc. This time we're looking at a game called Beyond Eyes, and if you remember back to my E3 impressions videos in June, this was a game that was it was showing off a little bit at the press conference, and I saw it a couple places here and there throughout E3, and I had some concerns about it, or I was really curious about it. It looked interesting. But again, you know, I guess blindness or disabilities in general is not really something that is covered all that much in gaming. And I know, you know, there's been TV shows or books and things like that where blind people are not necessarily portrayed very well at all. Either they are, you know, it's kind of one extreme or the one extreme or the other. They are like superhero, daredevil kind, which, yeah, no, that's not the way things are. Or they are portrayed as very like helpless, or you know, need to be felt sorry for or taken care of, that kind of thing. Well, I was really curious to see what Beyond Eyes would be like, and I will talk more about it as we go. Let's get rid of some of this white here. That's immediately one of the things. If you are a low vision gamer, or if you are just like light sensitive, this game is a lot of white. So if you don't really like that, you know, I don't know, put some shades on, I don't know, or tune down your brightness on your monitor, because like I said, there's a lot of white in this game, and the game itself actually looks pretty good. But I'll kind of get more into that as we go. So our main menu here, I just literally before recording this video, I just finished the game. So I have played through it. It is like 6 chapters long, and it took me, I don't know, a couple hours, 2-3, I don't know, maybe 2-3 hours. Should have taken me less time, but I got lost a little bit, or there was a couple levels where I was like, I'm not exactly quite sure where I'm supposed to go. And tying into that, some of the controls, or some of the gameplay, which I'll talk about shortly. So, main menu, at least we got some kind of contrast there on the chapters. The other ones are really light, so you really have to highlight them if you have trouble with contrast. You're going to have to, you know, just kind of arrow through them with your D-pad or your analog stick to read them well enough. We're going to choose chapters, and we're going to choose prologue just so you can kind of see it from the beginning. I'm thinking this probably isn't going to be too long of a video, but we'll see. Let's just go into prologue, and we'll see what happens here. So we're going to load here. So basically, if you're unfamiliar, Beyond Eyes, you're playing this little girl who is blind, and the whole spiel is, well, let's just watch the intro here. You'll kind of see they don't really use dialogue. There's a little bit of a couple voice samples throughout the game, but not a lot of voice. Now you see, let's see, and sometimes they do have little text things that come up. Ooh, fireworks, that's not good, or something. Now, there are text that comes up sometimes, and the problem with it is that it does go away pretty quickly, so you have to be able to read it pretty quick. So everybody's playing, having fun still. And then you have the little girl just sitting by herself on the bench. Nobody wants to play with her anymore. Alright, and now we're going to be actually going into the game in just a second. Hey, kitty. Alright. Now we are playing the game. So, basically the whole plot of the game is the cat jumps away and she wants to get the cat. Now, we'll find her here pretty, in this little prologue or this chapter 1 level. But then the whole game is basically trying to get her cat back, because that's kind of her friend right now. So, the way Beyond Eyes works, you're playing this little girl, and I believe the cat's name is, like, Nanny or Nenny. Sometimes it sounds like either one. It could be, like, Nenny or Nanny. I don't know. So, I mean, it controls just like a normal game would. You move with your left stick, your camera with your right stick. The way they do blindness in this game, I do have to give the game credit. I was a little, I guess, concerned or curious before I started to play how they would handle, like, oh, well, you're playing a blind person, but obviously you're navigating the level by sight. To a degree, that's true. But actually, I do give them credit, because I think they do a pretty decent job with some of the way they portray it. So, this little area here, you get the idea that she really doesn't go anywhere. She's really sheltered since losing her vision. And this little area here, she probably just kind of hangs out around the house a little bit. Beyond that, nothing. She really doesn't know what's out there. So we're going to walk this way a little bit. Oh, we can't. There's a fence. Now, the way they do it is, let's get out to the path here. So, now that I leave the initial area, even right in front of me, you literally cannot see it. The only way you uncover the actual graphics for the game is to walk ahead, and then literally like a couple steps in front of her, that's what you're going to uncover. Now, if you look back visually, anything that she has done, that she has walked across and uncovered, she's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm sort of familiar with that. So it stays visual on the screen, because there's some familiar. Now, see how it's white there, and then there's something that's making sound ahead of us. I'm going to crank up my headset a little bit here. There we go. So we got a whole bunch of bird ambient noises here. But we've got something ahead of us that, when something makes a noise, you see like a little ripple, and you see something in the distance. So you don't necessarily see everything in between you and the object, but you know that something key is out there. So let's walk toward it. And a bird flew away. Okay. So now we've uncovered the path to that bird. Let's go over in this white area, just because we're going to kind of uncover the map, uncover the level a little bit. And the first level is really pretty small, but toward the end of the game, the levels are actually fairly large. And especially later on in the game, they do mess with the mechanics in an interesting ways. So, if you don't want, well, let me keep talking about it, and then I'm going to kind of spoil some of the mechanics later on in the game, just because I feel like I do want to talk about it, is how it relates to, like I said, the whole blindness theme of the game. And like I said, this is the main reason that I was really curious about this game, because I really wanted to see, okay, a game that's going to be portraying a blind character. That sounds interesting, but how are they going to pull it off? So I heard a cat over there, so Kitty's over there somewhere. And so, yeah, I mean, we keep moving, and you saw the thing in the distance there, so, other than that, you don't really see anything. Now, the main problem that I have with this game, the main thing that I don't like... Oh, here we go. Oh, kitty! There you go. And they're off again. So, the main thing that I do not like about this game, and the thing that really kind of drug it down for me, is the walking speed. I know, like, if you have no vision and you have to explore an unfamiliar area, yeah, you're gonna go a little bit slower. I have done, even though I am low vision, and obviously have enough vision to get around and play games and stuff fairly well. I have done under the blindfold stuff, both, quite a few different times for different reasons. And yeah, I'm not as quick as I am using the vision that I do have. But, once you do get used to it a little bit, you kind of get faster. And then even if you are in a new area, you don't have to be as timid. But, the walking speed is really slow. And you really can't run. This is as far or as fast as you walk. Now, this level, it doesn't feel so bad. It didn't bother me at first on this level because there's a lot of little things compressed into a small area, and this level is pretty small, like I said. But later on in these levels, it's like, oh man, especially if you get lost and you're like, oh wait, I forgot to do something, or I should have gone down this other path here first. Anytime, yeah, see, she's calling out the cat's name there, Nanny. Sometimes she says it like Nanny. But the walking speed, it just later on, like the gameplay doesn't have enough variety, or there's not as much, like, in the way of gameplay or story or something to kind of keep me. You can overlook something. You can overlook a game for its flaws if there's something that keeps you going. And like I said, I was really curious to see how the game would progress, how it would end story-wise. But in between a couple of really interesting moments, I gotta tell you, unfortunately, by about middle of Chapter 3, maybe Chapter 4 for sure, I was actually getting pretty bored. Just walking around felt tedious after a while. I really don't want to use that word, but it really kind of did. Because you're walking so slow, and you can't walk any faster. Even look at this. Like, we're just, now we gotta go around. So we found a dead end there, so we gotta go all the way back around. And we're gonna uncover more. Let's just, let's connect this little part here, just because. Let's go back to the fountain, just because. Yeah, it just moves really slowly. That is, I think, my... I kind of wish, like, as she got more confident, maybe, as she started exploring a little bit more and got used to kind of being out on her own. I know you don't... If you're blind, you don't do that overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. I get that. But, from a gameplay perspective, if all you're going to be doing is walking around, you really don't even interact with anything all that much. Like, there's a couple instances where you do. But, it's just... There's not enough there to really keep you, unless you're really into the subject matter and you really just want to see, like, how it ends, and like I said, if anything happens, if the character grows, and, like, as a blind person or whatever, it's just a character in general. But it not really, it doesn't really change much. Like, what I'm doing right now, aside from hitting the A button on occasion later on, this is the game. You walk around, you uncover parts of the level, and yeah, that's what you do. And wait, I don't even, I already screwed up. I was kind of walking around, and I'm not exactly sure where I'm supposed to go. So, this is a perfect example. Oh, wait. I think I might actually have to go over here. But this is an example. So if I have to walk clear across the level, maybe I kind of wish that, like, if you had... once you uncovered a part of the level, because you were already sort of familiar with it, I wish that you could walk faster. You'd walk a little slower as you were uncovering it. That makes sense. And I know, things can change somewhere where you've already explored in real life. Of course it can, Something could be moved, something could have fallen down, there could be, if you're outside, there could be a car there might not be a car there, any number of things. So I totally get that too, but I mean, like I said, from a gameplay perspective, you want to balance a little realism with fun. And the pace of this game is just a little bit too slow and plodding. There's not, like, you don't have like an inner monologue from her, like, maybe talking and telling you her thoughts, or you get little gasps every once in a while, or her calling out the cat's name every once in a while. But other than getting to see a little bit of scenery, there's really not much else keeping you going. Like I said, the mechanics of it, for being a visual representation of blindness, they do some cool things. Like, I do appreciate that, and I will, like I said, I will have to definitely give them credit for it. They also do some cool things where she'll hear a sound, and she maybe is not quite sure what it is. Perfect example, I don't remember, it might be in like level 2, maybe level 3, where she hears a motor or something, and she's not sure what it is. It looks kind of dark. It's maybe a little menacing because she's just not sure what the heck it is. And I think if I remember right, it's a car originally, and then as she gets closer, the engine revs up, and she finds out it's a lawnmower or something like that. So, oh yeah, this part. I never did really quite get what was going on here, because all of a sudden it's like all nice, now it's snowy. I don't really know what is going on here, to be honest with you. I forgot about this little bit. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Or at least it kind of looks like it's snowy. So there's things like that where, like, until she figures out what something is, she may have a misinterpretation of what it is. And oh yeah, that can definitely happen. That actually makes sense. Kitty. So they do some cool stuff with that. They also do some cool things. Now here, if you don't want me to spoil anything, I'm going to spoil a little bit from here on. So I'm not going to tell you the end, because the end is definitely interesting. I'm not going to spoil that. But mechanically, I do want to talk a little bit about it. So what happens is, later on in chapter 4, I believe? Yeah, chapter 4 it starts, where, like I said, you're uncovering. Now, as I've uncovered this, it stays uncovered. What happens is she finds, it starts to rain. And as it starts to rain, because the sound is bouncing off of everything, the only thing that she will really be aware of, really, is what's right around her. And even things that she's already explored, as she moves away over time, it'll get covered up again and it'll turn white again, because like I said, the rain, there's just so much other sound going on that she, that it's like, well, I don't know, something could have changed there. And she doesn't hear anything else, but she just hears rain everywhere. So it kind of covers up. And then in like level 5 or chapter 5, it just gets really loud or really rainy, and it's just, it's really, you literally are almost blind, because you can hardly see anything in the level. you might see just a little bit around you, a tiny bit. And I don't even, like I said, I'm blabbing here, and I'm just kind of aimlessly pushing the stick forward. I'm not even sure where the hell is it I'm supposed to go. I suppose it would help if I really paid attention. I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't want to really give anything away, but yeah, I mean, so they do some interesting stuff with that. However, all that said, this game is $15. I know it's not a super lot of money. You know, $15 isn't so bad. But I mean, I'm happy with the length of time that I got with the game. I'm fine with that. But like I said, around especially chapter 4, I really started getting to the point where I got a little bit lost, or I wasn't quite sure what I was supposed to do. And as I did, I felt like I was like, well, I got this far, and I really want to try to finish it. You know, I'm really curious to see kind of what happens. But the actual act of playing the game, it felt more like a chore. It's like, can I just see what happens, you know? Can I just... I just want to see what happens. I don't necessarily want to have to play to get there. So it's like the last couple levels, like Chapter 5 and Chapter 6, I was kind of just like, yeah, you know, okay, cool, we're almost through it, you know? It's just... I was kind of waiting for the game to end, honestly. Which is not necessarily a good thing, you know? You want to be engaged all the way through, but... yeah, I don't know. I know we're supposed to find... it's supposed to be a gate or something that we're supposed to find to end this level, or we're supposed to trigger something. I know I just played it earlier today, but... okay, oh, let's go this way. Okay, I heard a noise. Maybe maybe... okay, anytime she calls the cat's name, you know you're on the right track. You know that you're going in a right direction. Now everything's just solid white here. Can hardly see anything. Kitty. So there's some more text. I'll let you guys try to read that. Like I said, I can't control it. It just disappears after a little while. And I think, yep, okay, we're going to get to, yep, here's the end of the level. Here's that gate that I was just talking about not very long ago. So I will start level 2, and it'll go back to normal. So see, now we're back to, so whatever, now we're back to sunny again. I'm not quite sure what the heck that was supposed to symbolize. I don't know, but we're going to go into this gate real quick. We're going to go into this gate real quick, I said. Okay, there we go. And I'll go just very briefly into a little bit of the next level, and then we'll call it. But, yeah, I don't know. Would I recommend the game for $15? You see, I think if you moved a little bit faster and it wasn't so... again, I don't really want to say tedious, but after a while, that's kind of what it felt like. Like, if it wasn't just so slow to get around the world... or around the levels, if the pace was picked up a little bit, it wouldn't be so bad, but it's just you're walking constantly so slow, and that's really all you're doing for 90-95% of the game. So it's like, if you're going to do that, you have to make up for that with something really compelling to kind of offset that slow pacing. I have no problem with the slow-paced game. I have no problem with that. You know, again, I can refer to Gone Home. They did an excellent job of that because all you're doing is walking around a house. Yeah, there are a few light puzzles in there, but, I mean, none of them are, like, too terrible. But, you know, I would say a good 85% of that game or better is just walking around and examining stuff. But the way that the world and the way that the story was constructed, and you kind of had this, like, you know, you kind of thought, oh, is this going to be a horror game? Is it going to be something else? You know, there was a little bit of uncertainty there. It just did this really interesting stuff. They had ways, and you know, you would be picking up all these objects because you never knew what thing was going to trigger some of that narration to figure out more of the main story. And then you also got to learn, you got to know about the family in the game. They just did a lot of things to spice up the fact that, yeah, all I'm doing is walking around. You know, all we get here is a lot of white. I mean, like I said, once you uncover the level, it's a nice looking game. It's nice and colorful. I mean, the environments are nice. I like the style. No problem there. But I mean, a lot of times you're just looking at white. You're moving really slowly. You know, there's not a lot of anything going on. You know, no audio dialogue or anything. You know, some of those text things that come up and disappear. A game like this, it kind of reminds me of, like, you know, almost like a storybook presentation. I think having them narrated would actually add to the atmosphere. And also, you know, again, this is a game about a blind girl, a blind person. You know, narrate it. It would fit it really well if you found like the right way to narrate. You know, you could add narration to this kind of thing, and it would, like I said, not only add to the whole like theme of, oh, okay, we have text that needs to be narrated, and it would also, if you have low vision people that are playing this, it adds to the accessibility, of course. So kind of weird that they didn't do that. But yeah, so like I said, we just uncovered a bridge here. I think I'm going to leave it off here right about here pretty quick, because there's not a whole lot else to say. Like I said, I bought it because I was really curious about the way. So that was cool. She thought it was a fountain there, and now it's actually just this pipe. So that's cool. I like how I didn't really pay attention to that before. That's kind of cool. She just heard running water. She thought it was something else, because she learned, oh, in the last level, that was what the water sounded like. And she got closer. It's like, oh, okay, now I get it. So actually, that was a cool thing to end on. Cool. But yeah, it's, again, would I recommend it? Possibly. If you want a game to just kick back and relax to, you know, walk around, maybe soak in, you know, just have a little, you always hear a lot of like birds chirping or, you know, rain or something like that. You just want to kick back and just slowly walk around and relax, and maybe, you know, whatever, take in a little bit of the story. Sure. Even so, I think I would wait for a sale. $15. And like I said, it's not terrible, but it's just, maybe if I didn't play it all in one sitting, which I did, you know, maybe if you play one level and then quit and then come back the next day, it wouldn't be so bad. But like I said, because I was curious, I just played it all in one sitting, and it really got to be kind of a slog. So don't play it that way if you're gonna do it. I wouldn't recommend playing it that way, just because, like I said, of the slow movement. That just really got to me after a while. You know, you get to these dead ends and you're like, oh man, now I gotta walk back, and it's just trudge. You know, and it is kind of funny that she doesn't have a cane either, you know. I mean, if you're in your backyard and stuff, now you really don't need one, but if you're, you know, again, and if you're representing like a blind person, if somebody plays this and they think, oh, okay, blind people are really slow, really timid. Do they walk with a cane? Do they not walk with a cane? I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, that's because not everyone always has some experience with a blind or visually impaired person. You know, they get their ideas from the people they meet, or from movies or TV shows, or in this case, games. So that's again why I was really curious, because, you know, I've said it before, where, you know, as a visually impaired person myself, like if I'm out somewhere, whether I like it or not, whether I want to be or not, I am always on some level, whether anyone else realizes it or not, I am kind of a representative of a low vision, legally blind person, because I am, you know, like I said, what people see me doing, how they see me behave. You know, if I, you know, stumble around and bump into everything, or if I, you know, whatever it happens to be, if or if I'm just really super confident, and if I just, you know, move around and do whatever it is I need to do, you know, that'll impress on somebody. That will, you know, especially if they're not really familiar with other blind people, that could definitely form or help form somebody else's opinion of what they perceive blind people to be. So, you know, that's really why I just kind of went out and bought this game, because it really came out of nowhere for me. Like, I knew that it was going to be coming out because they talked about it at E3, but I had no idea. I thought it was going to be like a game next year, and all of a sudden, I think it was on a podcast a couple days ago, oh, it's out? Okay. So, yeah, it is out. It is Beyond Eyes for the Xbox One. Not sure if it's coming out for the PC or anything else later on, but it is available on the Xbox One right now, and it is available for $15 full price. And yeah, I'll leave it up to you whether you want, you know, whether you think it's worth it or not. I said I really want to like this game, and I do to some degree. It does a lot of cool things, but just the pacing of it is a little bit much for me. So glad I played through it, but I doubt I'll be coming back to it. It's kind of one of those one-off kind of things. There's not really a lot of replayability here. So yeah, and that'll wrap it up here. So you said like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and until next time, I will talk to you guys again later.